You ever have one of those mornings where you walk outside ready to face the day and boom, there's your HOA president screaming into her phone, standing right in your driveway like she owns the place? Yeah, that was me, barefoot, half awake, staring at Caroline Briggs's silver SUV, blocking me in for the third time that week. Except this time, she wasn't yelling at me. She was calling 911 on me because my new Rottweiler diesel had the audacity to sit calmly at the edge of my driveway, just minding his business and not letting her borrow my private property again. All I could think was, you gotta be kidding me. And that my friend was the exact second I decided I was done being the nice neighbor. Caroline had finally pushed me off the edge. Let me back up a sec. 8 years ago, when I first moved into Cedar Ridge Estates, I thought I'd found my own little slice of peace, quiet green, just enough space to breathe. I bought every inch of that place, right down to the last slat of cedar in my fence. I kept to myself, mowed my yard, never left my trash cans out longer than the city allowed. I honestly didn't even notice the HOA at first. Then a hurricane in the shape of a woman named Caroline Briggs rolled in brand new HOA president clipboard, practically glued to her hand neon vest, the whole I'm in charge vibe. She walked around with that look, the one like she was constantly disappointed in everyone but herself. It started with the little things, snippy emails about trash cans being visible, 6 minutes too long, threats of fines over garden lights, her constantly moving everyone's flower pots so they'd line up just right. It was petty, sure, but hey, some people need a hobby. Then one day she parks her SUV across my driveway. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was lost, maybe she needed to turn around. I knocked on her window friendly as could be, told her she was in my spot. She didn't apologize, didn't even flinch, just said, "I'll only be a minute." Spoiler, a minute was never a minute. But like an idiot, I let it go. Big mistake. Because it didn't stop after moving week. Every time I got home, her car was there, angled across my concrete, sometimes blocking me and sometimes blocking me out, always making it feel like I lived at her convenience. And every time she'd wave me off with that lazy just a minute mark, you ever feel that slow burn in your gut? Not anger, something worse. Disrespect. Like someone's wearing down the boundaries you spent your whole life building up. That was my driveway, my tiny kingdom. No one should have had authority there but me. I tried everything. Polite chats, a nicely worded email, even a printed copy of the HOA CC&Rs highlighted and all showing driveways were privately owned. She ignored all of it. Then, like clockwork, I get a violation notice slapped on my door, bright orange, practically glowing because my trash bin was out too long. Never mind that every neighbor's was out the same amount of time. And never mind that Caroline had blocked me in that very morning so I couldn't move my bins even if I'd wanted to. Retaliation, plain and simple, dressed up like community standards. Every time I tried to talk to her, she hit me with the same rehearsed lines. "You need to be more flexible. We all have to be visual assets to the community." I nearly laughed. The only asset she cared about was her own authority. That's when I started documenting everything. Photos of her SUV, timestamps, email screenshots, even short video clips. Not because I wanted drama, but because I could feel myself getting pushed to the point of no return. So I filed an official complaint with the board. Big mistake. Turns out the board was just Caroline and her besties. I got a passive-aggressive reply telling me I should be more neighborly and maybe letting her use my driveway now and then would strengthen community harmony. That phrase nearly made me choke. Then came the Tuesday that broke me. I had a huge virtual meeting with a new client, the kind of chance you wake up early for. I'm dressed ready, coffee in hand, got 10 minutes before I need to leave, and bam, there's her SUV perfectly blocking me in. I knock, no answer. Call her straight to voicemail. She finally strolls up, latte in hand, sunglasses on, and says, "Oh, relax, you weren't leaving yet. I saw your lights off." That was it. I missed the meeting, lost. The client sat alone in my living room that night with tension coiled in my chest like a spring. That was the night I decided enough was enough. Here's where it gets good. If words didn't work, maybe presence would. Or more specifically, the presence of something bigger. Enter Diesel, a Rottweiler built like a linebacker, calm, steady, loyal. Not aggressive, just unmistakable authority. I found him at the local rescue, and the second we locked eyes, I knew he was my guy. I took him home, introduced him to his new kingdom, and set up camera signs, everything short of a moat and drawbridge. Subtlety hadn't worked with Caroline. Maybe a little theater would. 2 days later, right on schedule, Caroline rolled up in her SUV, gliding toward my driveway. Diesel walked right to the edge, sat down like he owned the world. Caroline slammed her brakes so hard the front of her car dipped. "Move your dog!" "Mark," she barked. I leaned on the porch rail, all casual. He's on my property, and unlike some people, he respects boundaries. She threatened to call the cops. I told her to go for it. She did. The police showed up, 2 cruisers, lights flashing, no sirens. Small town, big authority. Caroline put on a show claiming Diesel had cornered and threatened her. The officers asked for Diesel's papers, watched my security footage, saw everything. Diesel just sitting there, not even barking. One officer turned to his partner and said, "Yeah, that's not aggression." Caroline overheard and nearly exploded, ranting about HOA rules and authority. The officer cut her off. "Ma'am, HOA rules don't override private property rights." And when she kept pushing, he actually wrote her a citation for wasting emergency services. She shrieked, "You can't find me. I'm the HOA president." He didn't even blink. "Ma'am, I can, and I will." You should have seen the look on her face. That was the first time in years I felt real relief. I wanted to laugh, but I kept it together. She stormed off, promising this wasn't over. And you know what? I believed her. She waited until the police left, then tried to charge up my driveway. Diesel stood tall, didn't move, just stared her down. Caroline froze, shaking, screamed at me, at Diesel, at the world. Then, just when it looked like she was about to do something truly reckless, the officers who'd never actually left the neighborhood rushed back in, intercepted her, and after she shoved one, they cuffed her right there in front of half the block. I know it sounds harsh, but the applause from the neighbors was instant. That night, for the first time in months, the neighborhood actually felt peaceful. People lingered on their porches, gossip in the air, relief you could almost taste. Even Mrs. Green from across the street, who never said more than a word to me before, brought over banana bread and whispered, "About time someone stopped her." Yeah, it was like that. Jim Carter from the board came by the next morning, hat in hand, apologizing for everything. "She's been pushing the limits, Mark," he admitted. "Most folks are too tired or too scared to push back." He asked if I'd come to the emergency HOA meeting and share my story. Honestly, I just wanted to be left alone, but the more I listened, the more I realized Caroline hadn't just been my problem, she'd been everyone's. I gathered my folder of evidence, photos, emails, videos, and went to the meeting. I didn't grandstand, didn't exaggerate. I told the truth, how she'd blocked my driveway, retaliated with citations, called 911, with a fake emergency, trespassed after being warned. One by one, other neighbors shared their stories, fines for garden hoses, threats over porch decor, lectures about seasonally inconsistent wreaths. For the first time, the neighborhood was united by something other than shared misery. The board voted, and just like that, Caroline was suspended as HOA president pending a full review. The clubhouse erupted in applause, and yet I knew deep down she wasn't going quietly. The next few days were tense. I'd catch glimpses of her SUV lingering at the end of the block, watching. Diesel stayed close, more alert than ever. Then one night I caught Caroline sneaking around my yard at 11 p.m., camera in one hand, stack of papers in the other. She was taking photos of my house, my yard, my violations. She saw me hiss that this wasn't over and stormed off into the night. The following morning, Jim showed up again looking rattled. Caroline had stormed into the HOA office, demanding to be reinstated, accusing everyone, including me, of harassment. He said the board was calling for her permanent removal and that the county was now reviewing every action she'd ever taken as president. Days blurred together. Mysterious cars circled the neighborhood. Caroline paced my driveway, took measurements, made wild accusations, and then finally crossed the line by shoving a police officer during yet another scene. She was arrested right there, screaming my name, blaming me for everything. That night, the quiet finally felt real. The county finished their review. Caroline was permanently removed as president, banned for life from holding any HOA office. Every bogus citation she'd issued was voided. The board rewrote the bylaws to make sure no one ever held that much power again. They even apologized to me publicly. Diesel. He became something of a legend, the gentle giant who guarded the whole street from tyranny. But here's the lesson I learned. Yeah, boundaries matter. And not just the lines on the concrete. I'm talking about the invisible ones we draw around our dignity, our sanity, our right to peace. People like Caroline don't crumble when you yell. They don't stop when you ignore them. They stop when you hold firm, when you refuse to let their chaos become your normal. You don't need to shout to stand your ground. Sometimes you just need clarity, patience, a camera or two, and in my case, one very good dog. So what do you think? Was justice served, or did I go too far? Where do you draw the line between defending your rights and escalating a feud? Drop your story in the comments if you've ever gone toe-to-toe with an HOA or a bully of any kind. And hey, subscribe so you don't miss the next wild ride. I have a feeling Diesel and I aren't done yet.